The number one way to prevent regain is actually very simple, but I like to be able to add lots of different elements and different ways that you can do it. Now, when I say the number one way to prevent weight regain, I'm not talking about some like cheesy thing. I'm talking about what is rooted in science and what a lot of people back up. So we're gonna dive into the details of this, and we're gonna talk about how you can do it and have a little bit of fun in the process. Problem is that once you lose weight, it's very, very frustrating because it's so easy to gain it back. Okay, now, it's easy to say, hey, like you lost this weight, while you're dieting, you should be implementing all these refeeds and this and that. And that gets complicated because while you're losing weight, one of the last things you want to do is stop that momentum. But there's a simple thing that you can do based upon some relatively new research. So let's dive into it. Hey, after today's video, I popped a link down below for a discount off of Bon Charge's sauna blanket. Okay, this is super, super cool stuff. If you watch my channel, I'm always talking about my sauna. Okay, I use it almost every single day. I crank up the heat high, but people always say, hey, I don't have room for a sauna. I can't afford a sauna. They're expensive. They're not cheap. They're getting cheaper, but they're still not cheap. So Bon Charge has this sauna blanket that I use whenever I'm going on road trips and things like that. It's a little big to bring on a plane, but very realistic to pack up and put in your car. It gets up over 170 degrees and it gets there pretty darn fast because it's infrared. Okay, so we're talking super low EMF, just something you can bring with you and get the benefits of a sauna for a fraction of the price. And trust me, you will break a sweat. So that link is down below to save a significant chunk of change on that sauna blanket. Check it out. So I need to open up with a study. This study was published in the International Journal of Obesity and Metabolic Disorder, and it took a look at subjects that were on a weight loss diet for 4 weeks. So they had people aggressively lose weight, a very low calorie diet for 4 weeks, and then after that 4-week period, it had them go ahead and do a maintenance diet for 3 months. Unfortunately, you know what happens. A lot of them gained the weight back. Okay, so a lot of people gained the weight back. However, they divided these people into 2 groups. One group ate X amount of calories. The other group ate X amount of calories, same amount of calories, except they went higher protein. So they had them add 48 more grams of protein per day. So a 20% difference in proteins, even though the calories were about the same. Okay, what they found is that they both lost weight during the weight loss portion, but when it came down to the 3-month maintenance phase, the group that had the extra protein regained half as much weight as the other group. They regained 50% less weight just by adding more protein, 20% more protein. This is nuts, okay? And this is, what else is even crazier about this is that the weight that was regained seemed to be lean body mass. Not all of it, but by increasing protein, even though they were gaining weight, the weight that was regained was lean body mass, or a lot of it was. So what this tells us is that, yes, protein is good for weight loss in general, but when it comes down to preventing weight regain, protein is key. Now, you could take this video, close it out, and say, that's great, I need to increase my protein. But there's some very important things that you need to be paying attention to with how you implement protein. If you take a look at a bunch of different cuts of meat, okay, you've got brisket, you've got ribeye, you've got a lean filet, you've got a chicken breast, you've got a chicken thigh, you've got a chicken thigh with skin, right? There's a huge variance between the amounts of calories and the amounts of fat in those different cuts of meat. This is not to demonize any one particular part of these meats. I'm not going to tell you brisket's bad because it's high in fat. Okay, I'm not going to tell you chicken breast is good because it's low in fat. But the goal here is to increase the protein, not to increase everything else. Okay, bottom line is that if you were to say, I'm going to add 50 grams more protein to my diet per day via brisket, what's going to happen? You're going to increase your calories tremendously and you will not get the effect. If you were to say, I'm going to increase my protein by 48 grams by adding chicken breast or lean fish, yes, you are going to get the benefit without the additional calories. Fat has 9 calories per gram. Carbs and protein have 4 calories per gram. So when you are increasing your protein, you are increasing 4 calories per gram. But if that piece of meat that you're adding in has a bunch of fat too, you're increasing an exponential amount of calories that could very well offset your benefits. Does that mean you need to go eat chicken breast and lean fish? No, not at all. It means you need to be aware of it. The other thing is I look at other research and I find that the body seems to do quite well with protein in the morning. So what I would recommend is allocate most of your protein to the earlier hours of the day. Why is this? Well, there's probably a number of different reasons, but I think when you look at the massive cohorts that we typically see, a lot of them are eating small breakfasts with very low protein. They're grabbing a granola bar on the go, they're having a fruit and yogurt parfait. So it's making it hard for them to get the protein throughout the day anyway. So from a lifestyle perspective, it makes sense to you wake up in the morning, this is your time to make a concerted effort. So you can increase your protein intake even if it's along with fats. Because here's what's up. There's an interesting theory, and it's more than just a theory, it's demonstrated in multiple studies, but the whole thing of eating breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, dinner like a pauper, like eat the bigger breakfast, moderate lunch, small dinner, you're gonna have more slack with the calories you can take in the morning. So that's the time of day. If you wanted to have a fattier cut of meat, go for it. That would be the time. Nice big juicy fatty steak and eggs for breakfast? Yeah, do it. It's better than saying I'm going to have a ribeye or a brisket for dinner, right? I would rather you have your fatty cuts of protein in the morning, and if you're going to opt for more protein in the afternoon, account for some responsibility and have a leaner cut of protein, right? Now, you might also be thinking like, do I have to have this with one meal? Does it have to be meat? That's the beauty of this, is no matter how much you like meat, I like meat, this works with plant protein too. It just does. But it also works with if you wanted to add whey protein in. Like whey protein, if you went with a whey protein isolate, you've got zero fat typically, okay, because it's whey protein isolate. You got zero other stuff. And you could get 48 grams of protein with 2 scoops spread throughout the course of the day. And you're already putting yourself there with very little additional calories. It's not just the metabolic piece of the protein, okay? It's the satiety that comes with it. It's all the other pieces that come. So if you are really looking to keep off the weight that you lost, the literal #1 way is to just increase your protein intake by 20% from what you're doing now. I'll see you tomorrow.